Thank you. You finished? Okay. Hare Krishna. So, very honored to be here in ISKCON Zurich. I used to come in the early days, 30, 40 years ago, when the book distribution was thriving with Rikesh Prabhu and Harinamanand and Navin Nilay Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gananjana Sharakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Shvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Samjivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshane Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhya Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavedyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Swagatam, Suswagatam, welcome. So I was told it's 5, 4, 17, 13. Is that correct? It's 5, 17, 13. Okay. Shall I read? It's in prose. Huh? It's quite long. Shall I read the Sanskrit? It's in, it's a different meter, it's prose. So this is 5th chapter, and the 5th canto, 17th chapter, the descent of the river Ganges. And we are discussing with text 13. So again, should I read the Sanskrit? Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's quite long. Yatra Hadev Pataya Sverganam Nayake Vihita Maharanaha Sarvatu Kusuma Stabaka Fal Kisalaya Shrayana Myamana Vitapa Lata Vita Pibir Upashumbamana Ruchira Kanana Shrama Yatana Varsh Giri Dronishul Tata Chamal Jalasha Yeshu Vikacha Vividanava Vanaru Hamoda Muditaraja Amsa Jala Kukuta Karandava Saras Chakrava Kadabir Madhukara Nikara Kritibir Upaku Jiteshu Jala Kridadibir Vichitra Vinode Sulalita Sura Sundarinam Kamakalila Vilasa Hasa Lilava Loka Krishna Manodrishtaya Sviram Viharanti. If you want to try. This is prose, so it's quite different meter. So word to word. Yatraha. In those 8 tracts of land, Deva Pataya, the lords of the demigods, such as Lord Indra. Sphere, by their own respective. Gananayake, leaders of the servants. Vihita, furnished with. Maharana, valuable gift such as sandalwood pulp and garlands. Sarvaritu, in all seasons. Kusuma stabaka, of bunches of flowers. Fal, of fruits. Kisalaya shriya, by the opulences of shoots. Anamyamana, being bent down. Vitapa, whose branches. Lata, and creepers. Vita pibi, by many trees. Upashumbamana, being fully decorated. Ruchira, beautiful. Kanana, gardens. And we know this guru. Kadamba Kanana. Gardens. Ashrama Ayantana, and many hermitages. Varshagiri Dronishu, the valleys between the mountains designating the borders of the tracts of land. Tata, as well as. Cha, also. Amalajal Ashayeshu, in lakes with clear water. Vikacha, just fructified. Vividha, varieties. Nava Vanahruha Amoda, by the fragrance of lotus flowers. Mudita, enthused. Raja Hamsa, great swans. Jala Kukuta, waterfall. Karandava, aquatic birds called Karandavas. Sarasa, cranes. Chakravaka Adibi, by birds known as Chakravakas and so on. Madhuka Nika Akritibi, by the bumblebees. Upakujiteshu, which were made to resound. Jalakrida Adibihi, such as water sports. Vichitra, various. Vinode, by pastimes. Sulalita, attractive. Sura Sundarinam, of the woman of the demigods. Calm, from lust. Kalila, born. Vilas, pastimes. Hasa, smiling. Lila Avalok, by playful glances. Akrishtamana, whose minds are attracted. Drishtaya, and whose vision is attracted. Spheram, very freely. Viharanti, engage in sportive enjoyment. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In each of those tracts of land, there are many gardens filled with flowers and fruits according to the season. There are beautifully decorated hermitages as well. Between the great mountains demarcating the borders of those lands lie enormous lakes of clear water filled with newly grown lotus flowers. Aquatic birds such as swans, ducks, water chickens, and cranes become greatly excited by the fragrance of lotus flowers. And the charming sound of bumblebees fill the air. The inhabitants of those lands are important leaders amongst the demigods. Always attended by their respective servants, they enjoy life in gardens alongside the lakes. In this pleasing situation, the wives of the demigods smile playfully at their husbands and look upon them with lusty desires. All the demigods and their wives are constantly supplied with sandalwood pulp and flower garlands by their servants. In this way, all the residents of the 8 heavenly vultures enjoy, attracted by the activities of the opposite sex. Purport. Here is a description of the lower heavenly planets. The inhabitants of those planets enjoy life in a pleasing atmosphere of clear lakes filled with newly grown lotus flowers and gardens filled with fruits, flowers, various kinds of birds, and humming bees. In that atmosphere, they enjoy life with their very beautiful wives who are always sexually stimulated. Nonetheless, they are all devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as will be explained in subsequent verses. The inhabitants of this earth also desire such heavenly enjoyment, but when they somehow or other achieve imitation pleasures like sex and intoxication, they completely forget the service of the Supreme Lord. In the heavenly planets, however, although the residents enjoy superior sense gratification, they never forget their positions as eternal servants of the Supreme Being. So it's quite paradoxical because I would say this is the thrust of this class, of this verse. In this part of the universe, which is called Bhumasvarga, even though they engage in sense gratification, they don't forget Krishna. And we are told by Srila Prabhupada that sense gratification and Krishna consciousness go ill together. So how to reconcile this apparent contradiction? So we are basically in the 5th canto, and this chapter is entitled The Descent of the River Ganges. We just heard in 5.17.11, Srila Prabhupada explains there's 3 types of svarga. Svarga means heaven. What is the first type? Commonly, we remember that one, oftentimes in Krishna consciousness, which is famous Svarga, Svargalok, Indralok, Indradev, Om Bhuva Swa. So when we obviously hear Sva, it refers to Svargalok, which is beyond our realm. What is our realm called? Om Bhu. We are on Bhulok. So as we know, the universe is divided into 14 planetary systems. And we are on which number? 7. So we are middle range. Bhulok. And then Bhuvar. Bhuvar is called Antariksh also. It's a region where you don't find any planets. It's mostly inhabited by subtle beings and not necessarily so much of a good kind. They can be Rakshas, Asuras, ghosts. So this is the region between us, Bhulok, and Svargalok. This region is Bhuvarlok. You don't want to go there. And then Svargalok, Indralok, and those types of planets. But this is called Divya Svarga. So that's totally beyond this Jambudvip. Jambudvip is the central island. I guess you have discussed about all these things previously. Just consider the disk where we live. We learned at school the planetary system. I guess in Switzerland you must have learned that also. That could be compared to Bhumandal, that disk where we are. It's quite big. Bhumandal. And this disk is interspaced with island and oceans. But the oceans are in ringed form, ring-shaped. They're concentric. The island, one ocean, another island which is concentric, another ocean. And it goes outer up to the confines of Bhumandal. So basically Bhumandal is as wide as the universe. How wide is our universe? Which is the smallest universe? 4 billion miles. Which is not an enormous figure. I mean, it's big, but 4 billion only miles across the diameter. So So Buddh Mandal is as wide. And of course, there's a little space between the outer rim of Buddh Mandal and the shell of the universe. And then, of course, you must have discussed all these things. Alaloka mountains. They're so high. Those mountains, they are located on the very confines of the universe, the confines of that disk, Mubandal. And they're so high, even the sun cannot go beyond. So behind those mountains, it's absolute pitch dark. But let's go back to the verse. So in the central island, Bhumandal, huge disk, central island is Jambudvip. Dvip means island. Navadvip in Mayapur. So we are in this section of Bhagavatam here, 17th chapter. We discussed within the descent of the Ganga, there is a description, which is like a subsection of this chapter. It's a description of the 9 varshas. Varshas means regions, okay? Just imagine this central island is divided into 9 varshas, 9 regions. And we are on which varsha are we? Bharatvarsha. Thank you, Prabhu. But here we are discussing about the other 8 varshas, which are not accessible to us humans. There's a beautiful article written by one devotee from the TOVP, quite long, 120 pages. And of course, he's explaining on the basis of Bhagavatam that the earth is flat. So it means there's certain regions we cannot access. That is why, I don't know if you are aware, but in the South Pole, which is quite barred to many activities, is when explorers go there, they're always quite guarded against exploring many things, actually. So some say that throughout the Antarctica, you can access to other worlds. Like, for instance, if you see in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas, when they left the world, we can see that also in the first canto, 15th chapter. After Krishna departed, they felt totally morose and unwilling to carry on their journey on this planet Earth, and they decided to leave the place. How did they leave? Did you notice? Did they take a plane? Did they take a viman, a spaceship? They just walked up the Himalayas. And they entered other varshas. So Himalayas also is a way to access other varshas. And when we learned at school what is the Everest mountain size, close to 9 kilometers. When you read Bhagavatam, have you seen the size of the Himalayas? 800,000 yojanas or miles. It's totally... So either what we learned at school is wrong, or either the Bhagavatam is wrong. So obviously, to me, it's very clear that we are dealing with imperfect school teachers, imperfect geographers, and obviously we cannot rely on their data. So it seems that a great portion of this world is not accessible to us because we are conditioned. We are quite conditioned due to the body, gross and subtle. So back to the topic, there's 8 other varshas on this island where we live, Jambudvip. They are called Boma Svarga. So we're discussing about the description today. Verse 13 is dealing with descriptions of those varshas. Kimpurush Varsh, Hari Varsh. You may have discussed already. And there you find devotees. Prahlad Maharaj, for instance, in the 5th canto, we can see the prayers of Prahlad, Hari Varsh. So Prahlad Maharaj is not very far. We live on the same island. Of course, you may say he have other residences as well in the Vaikuntha. But all this to say that we are surrounded on this island by, I would say, heaven terrestrial regions. It's a mixture of heaven and terrestrial. And then, of course, there's another type of Svarga which is called Bilva Svarga. That's way down the universe. You find lower planets like Sutal. Remember Bari Maharaj in the 8th canto? He was blessed by Vamdev to live there, and Vamdev would become a doorkeeper. So they live there. And even the luxury in those Bilva Svarga are even higher than Svargalok of Indradev. The problem with Bilva Svarga is they enjoy tremendous comfort and luxury and enjoyment, but there is no access to spiritual life. So that's the downside.
There's no sunlight, right?
Yes, also, thank you to remind us. But here we are dealing with Boma Svarga. So, how to reconcile these things? Here, we know very well, as soon as we Krishna Buli se Jiv Anadir Bahir Muk Maya Tera Samsara Duk Ataeva Samsara Duk. As soon as we forget Krishna, Krishna Buli means forget. What happened? Maya Tera Deya. We are slapped. Ajapatiya Dare, there's another verse by Jagannath Pandit. We are slapped by Maya. Did you notice? As soon as you, Krishna Buli, Krishna Bahir Muk. Bahir Muk. Muk means face. Bahir, we turn our face away. As soon as we do that, you notice, Japatiya, slapped, big time. But here it seems that they can get away. Why? We could ponder. And it's attractive, If you are a neophyte devotee, wow, I can reconcile both. I can reconcile sense enjoyment and Krishna consciousness. But what is the downside of even being in those regions of the 8 varshas of Bhumandal, of Jambudvip? What is the downside? What do you think? We can have I don't want to be the only person speaking. So what is the downside of being in those regions being described here? I mean, you're not being penalized. This is the point. It's not penalized. And again, the verse, Srila Prabhupada, the inhabitants of the earth, of this earth, okay, perhaps a bit higher, in that atmosphere, so meaning this Boma Svarga, they enjoy life with their beautiful wives, and they are always sexually stimulated. Nonetheless, they're all devotees. But here, when the inhabitants of this earth also desire such heavenly enjoyment, and they somehow or other achieve imitation pleasures of sex, intoxication, they forget. So you may conclude, well, let me go there then. What is the downside? Yes. Yes. And remember, did you hear what she said? You cannot go directly to Krishna. And Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9:21, Kshine punya matalokam vishanti. Once you go to Svagalok, but you don't go to those lokas from here. You don't go to those varshas here, those 8 varshas from here. First you go to Svagalok. So you have been promoted by your punya karma. Karma unmukhi sukriti. You do your karma, but it's karma unmukhi sukriti. Sukriti means pious deeds due to your karma. You have done lots of good karma. This is not bhakti, be careful. Karma unmukhi sukriti. You have tremendous heaps of piety, sukriti, punya. Then after many births on this planet, you are entitled to go to Svagalok. And you end up being not a primary demigod. You're not like a presiding deity. Perhaps not. But you become an assistant. You're maybe an assistant to Indradev, Vayu, Varun. But then again, Kshine punya matalokam vishanti. Once you have used up your meritorious acts that enable you to go there, it's like a bank account. You have 100 million Swiss francs. You use up, and one day you have 5,000 Swiss francs, 4,000, 3,000. So once you leave the Svagalok, you end up in those 8. It's called Punya Shesh. Punya Shesh means you have a little bit left of Punya. Shesh means the end of Punya. Punya Shesh. And with that little bit left of Punya, you end up in those regions described here. You follow? And you're coming from heaven, so you are used to Purush. You have this Purush Abhiman, this strong enjoying mood in you. It's legal, Like in heaven, men can have affairs, we say affairs. If you have an affair here, if you're married, it's totally legal. It's totally illegal. It's not allowed. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Shrimati Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Gaura. But here it is. There it is. And then, after coming from Svargalok, they end up here, on this planet. But they don't stay there forever. And after, they come to this Varsh, which is called Kshetra. The Kshetra, Bhumi Punya is called Kshetra Karma, the cycle of karma. It's happening here. So just imagine you're in a train station. Everyone is getting off from different trains. They gather in the train station and they're waiting for their next train. You follow? We're getting off different trains coming from different origins. And we end up in the same train station. So those people are coming from those 8 varshas, Bhoma Svarga. They end up in that train station, and because they exhausted their punya, they have a little bit of punya shesh, and with that punya shesh, it's mentioned in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, they're going to take birth on this Varsh, Bharat Varsh, as crorepati. You have seen in India, Birla, and all these guys, Tata. They're very rich, but they're very pious. Did you notice? They donate enormous amounts, even to ISKCON. They know. They're very smart. They know. Oftentimes they take birth in India, actually. But they're crorepati. And they know very well that due to my sukriti, I was able to go there, Svagalok, then Bhuma, and then back to Bharat. And now they have the choice from Bharat, which is India. Bharat means India, or sometimes Prabhupada said it's the whole planet Earth. What are they going to do as Crowpati? If they degrade themselves so badly, they end up taking birth as a Videshi, as a Westerner, like us. Somewhere in the West, Switzerland, America, France. On the contrary, as a Crowpati, if they again consider, let me do piety, Sukriti, karma, unmukhi, Sukriti. Again, they're going to accrue sufficient piety in their bank balance, if I can say, and back, in due course of time, again, back to Svargalok. And again, Bhuma Svarga, Bharat. You follow? And 929, 921, Kshine Punya Matalokam Vishanti. It's like Prabhupada says, it's a merry-go-round. It's a merry-go-round. So just on the basis of philosophy, even though we may be attracted because we may be thinking, well, we can reconcile both, but it's again a dead end. You cannot stay there forever. Abrahma Bhuvanaloka, I'll come to you, Mataji. Let me finish. Up to what time should I talk? What time I'm supposed to finish? 8:30. Okay. So 10 minutes. So it's a merry-go-round, just on the basis of intellect, even philosophical understanding. If you're a little astute intellectually, it's not worth it. That is why Prabhupada is, we are basically into Nivriti Marg. And Nivriti Marg, we can divide the Vedas in two. There's many ways to divide the Vedas. But when we talk about Pravriti Marg and Nivriti Marg, what does it mean? Nivriti, Pravriti. Go ahead.
Pravriti mark is the path of enjoyment. Nivriti mark is the path of renunciation.
Exactly. So Pravriti Marg is the path of enjoyment, but in a Vedic way, in a mode of goodness way. It's not like so unlawful. It's Vedic. You are using the Vedas for self-aggrandizement, you're quite cognizant, quite aware of the contents of the Vedas, but you are trying to fulfill your material desires in a Vedic way, in a bona fide way. Kamakandiya. But Srila Prabhupada never encouraged that path. You have seen the types of books he has translated. Gita, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Shrimad Bhagavatam, and Vyasadeva explained 112. Dharma projito ketavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam. Ketavotra. Tra means even liberation is rejected. What to speak of? Bona fide heaven terrestrial pleasures, next door regions? No. It's described, Shukadeva Goswami is describing, it doesn't mean we should be enamored. We appreciate, and basically what we can retain from that, number one, that the whole regions of the Lord is the whole kingdom, the whole creation, both material and spiritual, is inhabited. So that totally demolished this conception of impersonal voidism. Everywhere, Sarvagata. Krishna explained in 225, Sarvagata. Every nook and corner of this creation is inhabited. Even in this room, we are human beings, we're perhaps 10, 15, but there are other living entities in this room we don't see. We don't see. They have their own lives. So we acknowledge, yes, we acknowledge, but we understand the frailties. And that is why this is the purpose of philosophy, and Bhagavatam should equip us with this philosophy, Bhagavat Marg, Bhagavat Shravan. We have to assess all the time, you know. We should not accept on a blind note. We should assess, and we assess by philosophy, Tattva, Bhagavat Tattva Vigyanam, Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Bhagavat Tattva, Vigyan. We should understand, okay, it's very attractive, wow, it's amazing even, but it's not worth it. We should come to that conclusion philosophically, and then we understand why Srila Prabhupada was actually so much concerned by our true welfare as a soul, not only as a... There's a tremendous difference between karma unmukhi sukriti and bhakti unmukhi sukriti. What is the difference? Karma unmukhi sukriti, bhakti unmukhi sukriti. We can, like to always converse. So, any clue? What is the difference between piety coming from your karma and sukriti coming from your bhakti? Any? Yes, Mataji.
The one coming from the karma is going to finish. You have to again.
It's, yeah. Dukhalaya Mashashvatam.
And you want that balance.
Exactly.
The bhakti one regards to the downward position.
Yeah.
My question was about the position of those who are in the heavenly planets. I don't have your Sanskrit account, so I speak as heavenly planets. It means, if I understand correctly, that we are not able to have consciousness about God. We are not interested.
This is referring to Bilva Svarga. Be careful. We didn't discuss about Bilva Svarga today. Bilva Svarga means in the lower portion of the universe, there are some lower planets. Basically, they are asuras. But in terms of comforts, in terms of luxury, it's beyond Svargalok. But what is the frailty there? What is the anomaly? They cannot even think of God. There is no spirituality at hand. It's not there. And like Mataji said, no sun. And it's mentioned in the 5th canto later. From time to time, the chakra goes there and chop off heads. And the ladies have miscarriage. So much they are fearful of the chakra. Where's the light coming from? From the shining gems on the heads of the serpents. We don't want to go there. Already we don't want to go there, which is in Jambudvip or island, but what to speak of going down in the universe? There's one exception down in the universe, Sutal. Sutal is, again, a planet for Vamdev and Bali. This one is like a Vekunt planet. So it's not worth it. Chakva svadharmam sharanam bujam hare bhajana pragvot tat patet tatu yaji yatrakva bhadram bhutamush yakim goverta apta bhajatam svadharmataha. This is 1.5.12, I believe. Narad is telling yesterday, Chakva Swadharmam Charanam Bujam Hare. Even if you give up Krishna consciousness, or for the sake of argument, Chakva Swadharmam Charanam Bujam Hare, you give up Charanam Buj, Hari. You give up the lotus feet of Hari, can you imagine? Quite an unfortunate state of affair. Chakva means give up. So he's doomed. we have seen people sometimes giving up their career to become Krishna conscious. I've seen in France, I have seen on the spur of the moment, or even a few months, a few years, they decide to stop their career. And they have perhaps one wife, 2 kids, it can create a predicament. And now imagine he becomes a devotee for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and again, Chakvasvadharma, he gives up Krishna consciousness. So people will say, look at him, he lost his career, and now he gave up Krishna consciousness. So what is the verdict of Narad in that verse? There's no loss. Narad is quite a peculiar person. Just like Gita says, Nehabikram Nashatusti Pratyavayena Vidyate. Once you have embarked on this path of Krishna consciousness, there is no loss, no diminution. It will help you from the most dangerous type of fear. What is the most dangerous type of fear? To become an animal. To become again an animal. A tiger, a mouse. You want to? So at least it's like the bare minimum is human form of life. And of course you keep your advancement in Krishna consciousness. You covered 15% in this life, 1.5. You give up, you start off next life at 16. Karma unmukhi sukriti is not like that. One time Bill Gates, he gave 700 million rupees to India. 700 million, of course, rupees, not dollars. It's a big amount. 700 million rupees he gave. Is he a devotee, Bill Gates? No. So it's called karma unmukhi. Pious deeds, helping the poor. Nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. So that's why we don't want to be sidetracked. So I'll stop here. It's 8:30. Thank you very much. It's an interesting section. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Guru Premanande, Hare Krishna. This is one of the ways in South India to retrieve the 5th chapter of Jonah. But it's down.
You visiting?
Yeah. 1 or 2 weeks, I guess another 2 weeks.
You staying with us?
I'm staying in Warau. One of my students, because I teach a lot online, and she lent, we are 2, Shandashika and I, we are living in that flat in Warau, 30 kilometers. Towards Shur, way before Shur.
Who?
Chur.
Yes, who? On the way to who? Okay.
But it's way before. It's from here. It's 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
Not very far. On the lake, not far from the lake.
And you will be coming giving class?
Yeah, sure. I can.
Keshav, otherwise organizing the...
Yes, you can line me up. No problem. She told me to give again tomorrow.
Okay.
So you can also give. I want to give from you.
No, we want to hear from you.
So what is your service? Yeah?
I assist Damodar, Prashad and Shikshastakam, whatever, any, secretarial work, managerial work, also catering,
Master,
like all-rounder.
Well,
reliever.
yeah, like temple commander, you have to do everything.
The services, I'm getting into that, but I just look after,
Yeah, the handyman.
handyman. We have somebody looking after fixing, but still, what's needs to be done.
Actually, we came here to sell paintings, but it doesn't work. So we want to sell books now.
Jigsaws to come.
I spoke to him. He was telling me about permit and all these things. But I don't understand how 30 years ago, this place was the biggest place on earth in this kind on book distribution. They have all these things, permit and all these things in those days.
I don't think so. But I don't know because I became devotee in South America.
Oh,
And then when I had a family, we went to Australia. And then about 4 months I came here back to Switzerland after 30 years. So I'm also new to this.
oh, I see you were in South America. Which country?
Chile.
Oh,
But I met the devotees in Peru.
amazing.
I was very fortunate. I became temple president in Chile. And my GBC was Jayapataka Maharaj and His Grace Viravajo Prabhu and Devangita Swami. I was very
So
sincere.
you will be speaking Spanish fluently.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah, 13 years in Chile and then 17 years in Australia.
Wow.
Near New Govardhan, the big farm there, they have 3 restaurants.
Devotees have always a peculiar journey.
Ajita is French. He went.
Yeah, I know Ajit. Same with me, I travel all over the world. America, South Africa, Mauritius. I've got an Indian passport. I used to live many years in India. Now I'm in France, but I don't like France so much. It's the government is quite nastic. They're not into Krishna consciousness. But I was saying I'd like to get some books just for 1 week or 2.
Yeah. He must be back. He just dropped off Maharaj. He's coming
Yeah.
back. Jigsaws to come.
And I enjoy if I could get them on consignment because I don't want to bring back the German books in France. English books I don't mind to put up myself. The German books in France will be too those days. Huh? Yeah. I want to, I'm a book distributor, so I'd like to try. I try paintings for 1 week. It's very difficult. Yeah, sure. If you have books, I love books. I like to study, teach, and sell the books also. Yes. This place was roaring, in the 80s. It would be like the magnet place. Tremendous book distributors. 700 books a day. We would come here to get inspired by them. Prabhu was there in those days.
It's changed a bit.
Yeah. Any more?
Thanks for the lecture.
Yeah, sure.
It's very interesting. It's universal. I have a question.
Yeah.
I have about the count of the different dimensions. Is the upper limit exactly the same? Maybe the lower limits.
No, the time is space and time is different.
Different.
For instance, one day, it's not a lot. It's 1 day. The time is totally. Just like the thing was the life of most people. Most people are around here. 1 month, 2 months. But in their consciousness, the important people that you know.
Yeah, but the question is, there's beyond the seventh platform, so a lot of ways.
On the upper,
Yeah.
it's 5. Yeah.
there is another platform. It's also 1 and 360.
See?